good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Whatever time you're watching the Student Athlete Playbook video conversation, we say thank you. I am Barry Brown, author of the #1 book, The Student Athlete Playbook, Success in the Classroom, Sports, and Life. And it was written specifically for our young people to help them grow from wherever they are to becoming the outstanding and productive adults they're destined to be. And also a member of the leadership team with Youth Education and Sports, our nonprofit organization that works with youth across the country. And you know, when we do our Student Athlete Playbook video conversations, we have some of the best student athletes, the best coaches, the best parents, the best youth service providers that we can connect with. And you know, this conversation is no different. Right now, let me introduce to you the Briggs family featuring Ailee Briggs, a high school female wrestler out of Lemon Bay High School in Englewood, Florida. Briggs family, how y'all doing this evening?
Doing great. Thank you for having us on here, Coach Brown. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I'm happy to have y'all. Our initial conversation was outstanding. Y'all was on your way to work out, and I'm listening to you talk, Nick, and I'm like, man, wait a minute. I think, you know, we're brothers from another mother. You were telling me some things that you know you have been doing with your children. I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. So I appreciated that initial conversation, and I'm so glad y'all took time, you know, to talk this evening. So the star of the show, Miss Ailee, how you feeling?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm doing wonderful. So
Feeling
now,
good.
before we get, and hold on, Ailee, I would get in trouble if I don't recognize your mom. Mom, Andrea, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us on.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, Ailee, you know, I've seen only one female wrestler in high school my whole life. And I've been around sports for a long time. And when I first saw it, this was maybe about 6-7 years ago, I'm like, man, this is amazing. She is out there really wrestling with young men. And I'm like, man, how does that work? So now explain to me, are you wrestling against young men and young ladies, or you just wrestle against young ladies?
So I compete against I compete against girls, but I practice with guys in the wrestling room every day. I used to, when I was younger, before girls wrestling got sanctioned, probably when I was about like 10, probably growing up from like 7 to 10 for those 3 years, I was wrestling just boys in competition the whole time.
Wow. So you saying from 7 years old to 10, you were wrestling boys?
Yes, sir.
Wow. And that, now, how did that feel? Because I want to ask your parents something, but first I want to ask you this. How did that feel strange, or what? How did you feel at that young age doing that?
I feel like because I just like grew up like doing it, and I was just so used to it. It was just another competition. I didn't think that they were a boy. I just took them as a competitor, and then I was just like, I want to wrestle and have the ability to wrestle, and this is what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to wrestle guys. So I just accepted it.
Wow. Now, Mom, I mean, you a mom. How did you feel? I mean, how did you feel about that? Your baby girl, she out there wrestling little boys. How did you feel about that initially?
Honestly, it did not surprise me because from the time she was 2 years old to 3 years old, she was on the sidelines of her brother's football practices, down in the 3-point stance, running. She wanted to do nothing but play sports, play football. So her only option at that point, she said, I want to play football, was to be on a boys football team, which is how she, really started doing much of anything, and then got into soccer, and it kind of just went on from there. But she's tough, and no one is going to tell Ailee no. So I didn't have the option.
Wow. Wow. So, okay. So Dad, what were your thoughts? So I heard Mom, what were your thoughts at that time?
Well, how she got into wrestling, it was after her first year of tackle football. So It was the end of the season, and she goes, Dad, what do I do? What's next? What do you mean, what's next? Well, half of the boys, they're going to play basketball here in the wintertime, and half of them are going to wrestle. Well, when she played football, she was a running back, and then on defense, she was inside linebacker. And I said, well, it's going to depend. Let me ask you a question. Do you like to run or did you like to hit? She said, I like to hit. And I said, well, then you're a wrestler. And that was it. And then she started wrestling. You know what I mean? She liked the contact. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
wow,
that's it. You know. So
now, did her brothers wrestle too, or they just played football? How did the wrestling become the sport? I mean, like, were you wrestling or brothers? How did the wrestling part come together? Though?
Well, I wrestled a couple years in high school, so I'm nowhere near the level that Ailee's at. But you know, brothers just played. You know, he wrestled for a little bit, but was nowhere near competitive as Ailee was. So Ailee was uber competitive. I mean, sometimes.
So
sorry, go ahead.
So no, I was gonna say. So you saw it. You actually saw. Oh man, she could be a good wrestler.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, I was like, you know, this is what you want to do, because you know, she was very effective at inside linebacker. I mean, she was really doing well. Yeah. And so they were. Matter of fact, when they had practice head drills, the boys, she was making the boys cry when she was hitting them at 6 years old, and they'd start to count. You know, you got the line on one side, right, and the line of guys on the other side, right, and she'd be like 1, 2, 3, and the other guy on the other side, he started counting 1, 2, 3. Hey, you want to go in front of me, man? He didn't want to be number 3. Nobody wanted to be number 3 if he was number 3 on the other side. No one wanted that head up.
Nobody wanted to hit her. Nobody wanted to go up first.
The boys didn't want that.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. So she was just more different.
So she was doing I think that's the Oklahoma drill. I think you were talking about when they run in between the pads, and you telling me to keep the boys were getting out of line. They didn't want to be matched up with her.
No, when they started counting up, they were going to be lined up. They would say, "Hey, you want to go?" To tell the guy behind me, "You want to go in front of me?" You know, and he's looking around at the grass or whatever, not even paying attention. And they're like, "Oh no, I got to go against Ailee. I should have paid attention."
That is hilarious. Now, Ailee, do you remember that? You remember all that when you were young?
Yeah, there'd be times where like they just start continuing to pushing each other. Like they get one person would push the other person, the other person would push the other person. And it's like the coach would have to like yell at one of them to go up against me.
That is hilarious. That is, yeah, you one tough young lady then. That's hilarious. That's a great story, right? And when they do the documentary about you, y'all have to include that. Absolutely. Y'all have to include that. Wow. Well, that's great. So now I see. Because my first question I was going to ask you was actually, you know, what made you want to become a wrestler? But y'all pretty much answered that question. But I'm going to ask it anyway, because you may have something else to share with that. So once your dad said, "Hey, I think you'll be a good wrestler," what made you say, "Yeah, hey dad, let's run with it"?
I've always me and my older brother, we were like always competed to see like who's better at football. And my dad said that wrestling's going to make me 10 times better at football. And I was like, okay, like I want to try this out. I want to beat my brother at football. So that's like really what first pushed me to start. And then first day, like I don't love it first day.
Wow. So your brother, he has to get some credit for this, because you always wanted to beat him. You were in competition with your brother.
Yeah, without being in competition, I don't think I would have wrestled if I wasn't competing with my brother.
Wow. I got you. That's awesome. So now, wrestling, you talked about playing football, tackle football, and you were playing flag. I heard you say flag football too. You played flag football as well?
Yeah, and rugby.
Rugby. Oh
yes.
My goodness. You just a tough young lady.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Okay. So now, did you ever play soccer or anything like that?
Yeah, I played soccer for about 8 years, from when I was 3 to about 7th grade about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you said, "No, I'm going all in wrestling."
Yeah, which is crazy, because I always thought that I'd end up being a soccer player. Like I spent so much time and like money on it, but then right when I started wrestling, like that just became my priority.
Wow. And so I mentioned soccer because I have 2 daughters. I'm a girl dad as well. And I have 2 daughters. My oldest daughter, she played competitive soccer. She played club soccer from 6 years old all the way up to 18. So I remember those days, traveling all around, different states and all that stuff for her to play. And so, yeah, So yeah, definitely I would have thought, yeah, with the athletic ability I'm hearing, yeah, I can imagine, yeah, you think you're gonna go that far in soccer, and then boom, you switch it up and turn into this world-class wrestler. So that's a great story, Ailee. That's a great story.
Thank you.
So now, oh yeah, you're welcome. So now you said 7th grade, you stopped playing soccer.
Yes.
So Dad, do you remember the day she said, "Hey Dad, that's it. I'm through with this soccer stuff. The ball, that's cool, kicking that little ball around, but I'm ready to pin some people." Do you remember how old was she specifically? And do you remember that time? Can you describe that time?
Oh yeah, no, she came and asked me, said, "Hey, Dad, I think I should probably start specializing in something. I'm kind of spread around." I mean, she tried lacrosse for 1 year, but girls lacrosse is different than boys lacrosse. You really can't check with your sticks and stuff like that. So she got yellow card or red card all the time because she was being too physical, this is no joke, man. I'm not making this up. I'm telling you.
Wait a minute. So you telling me, wait a minute. So tackle football, flag football, soccer, and you played lacrosse and rugby?
Yes. Also cross country.
Not physical enough for you. That's amazing. That's amazing. Go ahead, Nick. I had to just make sure I had that right. So go ahead. I gotta write this down.
No.
Go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
She was made differently. So anyway, she came to me and said, "Hey, I want to stop soccer. I think I'm going to specialize, just in wrestling. What do you think?" And I go, "Well, they're just starting a girls' sanction. And all this was starting to come to fruition. And I'm like, it's a perfect time to do this. You kind of bottom basement. You can kind of grow with the sport. You know what I mean? And be one of the pioneers of it. But what do you want to do?" And I said, "It's a tough sport." I said, anyone who's done wrestling will tell you it's the hardest sport, the toughest sport out there. But the people who do it and love it say it's the most rewarding as well. You know what I mean? Because you put a lot of work. Go ahead and do a week of wrestling practice. You're going to want to go back to football practice. Right. You want to go back to soccer practice. You're going to do whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? Other than wrestling, right, if you don't like it. You know what I mean? So,
wow.
But yeah, I mean, our job, when Andrew was pregnant with our first child, I had a customer of mine. I do heat and air conditioning. And I went to him, very successful, had many kids, Irish Catholic or something, like 10 kids or something. And I saw all the kids were successful, and never came back home. He was my customer for many years. So I went to him and I said, "Hey, how do you do it?" And he said, "Nick, what do you mean? How do you do it? How these kids, successful and they don't come back home?" He said, "Nick, you got to keep them tired and hungry." And I went like this.
Wow. Tired and hungry.
You know what I mean? I'm like, "What's that mean?" He says, "You keep them in sports, Nick, and they always come home to eat and sleep." So as our job as a parents, we said, look, everyone needs to do a sport. Our job is to introduce all the sports. And this is why she did so many of them, lots of them. But then they get to decide what they want to do. But you got to do a sport. We got to keep that energy, not so crazy and getting in trouble. Keep them grounded and keep, again, as he said, keep them tired and hungry. They always come home to eat and sleep. And it's worked well for us. As a matter of fact, it's the secret sauce, I believe. I really do. It's the secret sauce of good parenting. I swear by it now.
I got you. Yeah, I believe it. I believe in that too. And I remember talking about that briefly at home. But I like that phrase, and I got to put some exclamation points around that. Keep them tired and hungry. That's definitely a philosophy right there. I love it because that's what we're all about. Extracurricular activities. Their minds have to be involved with something other than just school. Yeah. Excuse me. You have to do great in school. We're definitely pushing that, but the extracurricular activities are very important. So that's outstanding, Nick. Thanks for sharing that. So now, Mom, I'm gonna go to you first on this question. This next question. What? Well, did you and that man sitting next to you before you had kids, did y'all talk about like how you wanted to raise them? Like before you found out you need to keep them tired and hungry, did y'all talk about like how y'all wanted to raise them? Like what did you want to instill in your children, specifically Ailee? You know what I'm saying? Like how did that go? Or some people say they didn't have a plan. So
yeah,
yes,
we had a bit of a plan. I mean, I came from a whole family of athletes, so Nick knew that I was probably going to want our kids to participate in sports because it was a big deal. Kind of, you know, growing up, everyone did something, and that was a big part of our family. So he had an idea about that. We definitely, before having kids, our first focus was church, getting them into church, making sure that they know God. Once they know God, then we can move to the next step, you know? And so really we talked some about what, you know, it was kind of going to be a merge of both of our upbringings together. And we did talk a lot about that we would merge them and take the goods from mine and the goods from his and try to put them together and create what we can possibly do.
I like that. Take the good from here. I like it. And merge it. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Ailee, so now looking back, you're a big time senior now. What were some of those things? What were some of the things that you know that have been instilled in you from your parents?
One really big thing is what my dad says. I put it on my state champ ring. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And that's always reminding me, like, your destination isn't like, you're not going to get to your destination quick. It's going to take a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice, and it's going to take a long period of time in order to make it to the destination that you finally want. Like, it could be in sports, it could be with God, it could be with anything. And that's what really, like, has, like, been instilled in me. I guess, like, what my mom and dad said, going to church, that helps me a lot. I know that, like, but another thing that I say is, without God, I'm nothing, because that's a big thing that I believe. Like, without God, I would not be where I am today. So those are probably the two things that I take in life, and that's the two sayings that really keep me going.
So I heard your mom talk about God. You just talked about God. I believe when I talked to your dad, when we talked about the spiritual part in the car that day when we first met on the phone. So I love that parents, student athletes that are watching this video right now. Hey, when you put God first, now you're talking about something special is happening because I call it activating the goodness of God when you put God first. So I love that, Ailee, that you recognize that without God, we're all nothing.
Yeah,
again, yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
It's funny because last Wednesday I was at youth and we had a big, like, we were preaching big on that we're so focused on our plans in life instead of God's plan. And honestly, like, that's what, like, I cling to, because I know that my plan is never going to be as good as God's plan. He always wants what's best for me. And I have to just constantly trust that plan and just keep on going throughout life. Like, even though, like, things happen in life that, you know, sometimes I question, like, why is this happening? It's just to make me, like, it's supposed to, like, you know, like, build me up, make me stronger for, like, the next obstacle that I have to face in life.
Wow. Yeah, we have an affirmation, Ailee. It's called, it goes like this: resistance only makes us stronger. And that's what you just said.
Yes, I totally agree.
I love that. God's plan. Wow, sacrifice. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. That's good stuff, man. Mom, Dad, y'all doing good. Y'all doing good work down there. Doing good work, Mom and Dad.
Hey, Coach Brown, I'm telling you, it's been hard. There's not a handbook. Ailee's a high-level athlete. I wasn't a high-level athlete. My wife wasn't a high-level athlete. And there's no book out there to say, how do parents manage a high athlete? We don't know. We weren't one.
Right.
And very rarely do you have, like, a son or daughter of a high athlete that they're high level as well, right? So it kind of it's irregular or whatever when it happens, right? And I personally, not so much like me, have made a lot of mistakes trying to do this. I don't know how to do it, how to keep her focused, how to keep her direct, put it all in the best situations or opportunities as possible. And then I found myself driving too hard. I became one of those obsessive parents, like, because I didn't want to mess things up. Again, we talk about faith. I've been given 4 beautiful souls to steward, and I didn't want to, you know, one of the questions I don't want to answer is, why didn't you do the best for the 4 souls I gave you? So I didn't want to mess it up. You know what I mean? And so with that, I tried too hard to, and then I had a couple of friends say, hey, look, Nick, you need to, like, you know, dial it back a little bit. even Ailee, thank God she had the courage to come to me saying, Dad, you're just a little too much. You know what I mean?
Right,
it's a little
right,
too much.
Right.
And I was humbled and I was able to like step back. And now at this level now, I'm not so much a coach. I'm more of a motivational for her when she needs it. But I'm just a parent and a fan. You know what I mean?
Wow. I love it. I love it. Nick, you said something real important because my oldest daughter had to come to me like that too when when she got to high school. You know, she was still playing club soccer too. But once she got to high school, she actually said that to me too. She said, Dad, I don't need, not at the school. and so I understand. I can relate to you, Nick, because I had the same conversation. And so it made it better for my youngest daughter, who's now a 9th grader. That oldest daughter just graduated from college back in the spring. So thanks be to God, you know, everything worked out. I never got kicked out of any high school stadiums or anything like that. And but my youngest daughter, she's a debater, so you can't even behave like that in a debate atmosphere. So so she was safe. She's been safe from me. But so I can relate, my brother, on that wholeheartedly.
Yeah,
I love it. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
And I'm sure it hurt because basically we got fired. You know what I mean? our daughters fired us as coach and say, hey, look, I'm demoting you and I'm hiring someone else. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It did hurt at first.
But it's all love. It's all love.
I'm glad she said it. You know what I mean? And it was a big pill to digest. You know what I mean? When I digested, I came back and talked to some friends and they said, yeah, it's good that she, again, had the courage to tell us, to tell you, your daughter, and to tell me. And then we listened and our ego wasn't in the way. I just want to do what's best, like you do with your daughter. I just want to do what's best. And we don't know how to do it. Exactly. When they're at that high level, again, there's no book. We're just trying to figure this out. And we made a lot of mistakes in the way. And, I don't know exactly what to do, but I know a lot of things not to do because I've done some of them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, you said a key word, listen. I actually wrote that down. You obviously listen. And hey, I tell the young people, we were just in a session yesterday morning. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. So we should be listening at least twice the amount that we talk. At least.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's how we rock and roll, man. But I'm glad you said it though, that we have to listen and know and learn when to step back as parents. And that's very important. Very important. That's awesome, man. Awesome. Ailee.
Yes.
You've been on the honor roll probably your whole life. 4.1 GPA. So you obviously take learning very seriously.
Yes.
What is your favorite subject, and why do you work so hard in the classroom, being this top level athlete that you are? Why is education so important to you?
I think my favorite subject is history because history always repeats itself. That's what my dad says. So I like to see events that occurred and see how it's gonna match up to present or future. And to answer your second question, my parents, they always take school seriously. It's always school before sports. It's always right when you get home. Right when you get home, you always have to do your schoolwork before you go to sports. And if you always want to strive for an A, and sometimes it's okay to get a B here and there if you're really trying. But my mom and dad are always instilling you got to have good grades.
Yeah, it was instilled. It was a part of that other conversation we were just having about what was instilled in you. And that's very important. So parents, these are some of the things and Nick, Andrea, y'all definitely speak on this because I've seen a lot of parents say, oh, well, I'm just going to let them do their thing. And I'm like, yeah, I got that. But shouldn't we be the best guide for them as possible to put those guidelines in place that, hey, this is how we would like to see you do it. And we're going to support you in this. I don't know about just letting them do whatever. They're going through their educational experience, specifically in high school, as they're so close to adulthood. What are y'all thoughts on that, Andrea? I go to you first.
Well, I just, I feel like they need to stay focused. It's number one. You've got to do your schoolwork. It has to be the top priority. I don't put so much pressure on them that they're stressed out over it, but there is always, teaching them that's how it's going to be. You need to get the grades. You can be a student, then you can be an athlete. And, but you need to be respectful as well, because many years as a teacher, I have dealt with children of every phase of life, and you take what you don't want to see happen to your kid and you try to change it around. But the biggest thing is really, like, as parents, we've been through a lot of the stuff, and our kids don't want to hear us say, don't do this, or you can't do that, because, and they always say, like, well, why not? And we're like, well, we did that. And we're just trying to help them not go through the same things that we already went through, so they don't understand it because they're in it and they're young. And just like when we made our mistakes, we were young and our parents didn't know anything, but we're trying to just clean it up before it happens, and keep them from making some of those bad choices that could possibly take you down a bad path. So it's hard. It's the toughest job ever with no salary.
Yes. Oh, yes. Hey, Andrea, you just said the statement of the night. Maybe parenting is definitely the hardest job on the planet, bar none. There's no other harder job than that. Ailee, before we go to your dad on this, so history, your favorite subject. Your parents emphasized education your whole life. Now that you get it ready, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, but looking back on what your mom just said, how do you feel about that, what you just heard your mom say? About not trying to overdo it. We're just trying to do the best we can because we've made mistakes, and we just don't want y'all to repeat our mistakes.
Well, I know my parents have always had my best interest, and when I have really big, what's the word? Decisions, I guess, to make in life, I always go to them because I know that they've been through life, and they always know what's best for me. They always want what's best for me. So it's there's times where my mom and dad are come on, you're slacking off. And it's they always keep me accountable with my grades. There's times where I want to take a nap before practice, and mom's no, you got to get your schoolwork done. So it's just I constantly, because you have wrestling, and wrestling's temporary, but your future and what job you're going to do is longer, more permanent than wrestling. So you always have to get that done before you can do sports and have fun.
Absolutely. I love it. And you used a word that I know a lot of people run from, but here at Youth Education and Sports, Ailee, we really believe in this word, and it is called accountability. I just heard you use that word. So they hold you accountable. And parents, we can actually hold our children accountable because that's what we're supposed to do. Yeah. That's because in life you're going to be held accountable for what you say, what you do. Absolutely. So who are we not to hold our children accountable and help them become the best adults and productive adults that we can? Nick, yes, what's your thoughts on that, man?
No, I can't agree enough on that. You know what I mean? Because like I told her, there's a last day for everything, especially when it comes to athletes. You see them in professional sports, and one of the greatest gifts we have, and it's very fleeting, is when the last time if a guy's retiring out of sports, a young woman or man, and they know it's their last time, and then they can sit back and make memories. Sometimes we don't know when our last day is. Someone gets injured, and it's a career-ending injury or whatever. But what I'm trying to say is that eventually there's an end to that. But your education is not, and your career is not. This is why it's more important. That is going to be, again, we should talk about the sprint and marathon. Then really the sport actually becomes the sprint, and the marathon is your education and being able to go on through life and be productive. And then also eventually you'll have a family, and to be able to emulate some of these things. She'll probably critique some things and change some things if she's a parent, but but she'll have a good blueprint, right? You know what I mean? To go ahead and carry this on, because, you see it in today's society. It's just as me, but, a lot of these parents want to be friends with the kids. And I'm not saying be unfriendly. So let me put it out there right in front. I'm not saying be mean and unfriendly at all. I'm not saying that. But, we're here to guide them and steward them. And sometimes it's not nice, friendly, cotton candy words for them. You know what I mean? It's a lot of salt. But it's truth. Again, we have truth and grace. You give them the truth. Yes. And sometimes they don't like that truth. It's a little salty, it's a little sour, whatever, but it's the truth. And what's going to benefit them later on. One day we'll be really good friends. You know what I mean? Once she is going in the right direction and all that other stuff. But that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. And I love the fact that you just mentioned the friend situation. But I wrote something before I go to that. I wanted to say, man, you said a blueprint. Us giving our children a blueprint probably is one of the best things we can do. Hold them accountable and give them a blueprint that they can follow. And of course, when they become adults, they can, they're going to, like you said, tweak it and make it their own, of course, because that's what we want them. We want them to be. How about this, Andrea and Nick? I saw a quote from one of my good friends the other day. He said, I want my children to be upgraded versions of me. Mm-hmm. They're not my mini-me's. They're going to be updated. Like, yes. Man, I said, I love that. I love that. And so when you said blueprint, yeah, we give them a blueprint, but then, hey, we want them to add on to that, subtract out, do whatever they need to do, but they got a framework to work from. They can look back and say, oh, man, my mom and dad, man, they were really trying to make it happen for me. And then they can take that and run with it and do even better than we ever could imagine. I love that. And then you talked about being friends with your kids. Nick, I'm telling you, and that's a pet peeve of mine right there. My daughter or my son is my best friend. Now, Ailee, this is why I'm saying this. I want your thoughts on this. If I'm your best friend as your parent, how can I discipline you?
You can't.
Exactly. We can't discipline our friends. That's ridiculous. So yeah. I'm glad you said that, young lady. But go. If you have something else to add to that, go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
It's also like with God, like God's a higher power and you respect them. You're going to respect God way more than like you're going to respect other people. I mean, like you always respect people, but like you always put like God like to like the highest standard. That's also like goes God, then it goes parents, and then it goes like friends, So it's just like I like that my parents like, I mean, there's times where it's like, man, like they're really disciplining me, but it's like, I'm so grateful. Like I see all my friends that have like their parents that are like buddy, and it's just like the path that they're taking is just awful. And it's like, wow, like there's times like where I go like thank my parents. I'm like, thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad, like for punishing me and like, like really getting on me because I'm so grateful that I'm not how they turned out to be. And it's crazy to see like how like the discipline really like plays a really big factor.
Absolutely. But that's the amazing thing is that you recognize it and you can articulate it that well, Ailee. So yeah, shout out to you. And again, hey, Nick, Andrea, hey, let me just put this pen down for a second.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. It's not over yet, right?
No. Oh, well, the one thing I learned about parenthood is never over. It's no matter how old they get, it's never over. So that's hey, that's a whole nother conversation. We're not even gonna open up that book today. No, ma'am.
That's a whole different series, different podcast. You and I get together.
We're gonna have to do that another time. Absolutely.
A lot of material on that.
Oh man, absolutely. So, Ailee, you just mentioned, friends, seeing things. You got brothers, the whole nine. What? I want to make sure I say this the right way because we're having a great conversation. How important is it for you when you're out and about with your friends and you seeing, you're meeting these different student athletes from around the world, around the country, when you're at these wrestling tournaments and things of that nature? How important is it for you to display good character and to see it in others? How important is that for you?
I think it's the number one priority because without good character, I don't think that you're like anything. Like how do I explain this? This is hard to explain. It's like I feel like good character is like the fruits of the spirit in the Bible. And it's like I like to try my best to live how Jesus lived, like on this earth. And I feel like that demonstrates a really good character. And I feel like people tend to like gear towards people that have like a better character, like a better person. Like you want to go gear towards someone who has like their goal set and like is a nice person instead of someone that's like on like the streets or something, or like doesn't have their life like ahead of them. And it's just like my mom and dad always say, like, I had something that it slipped my mind though.
Oh, it's okay.
No, but like I think it's really important to have good character and like doing things like when nobody's watching, like integrity. That's a really big thing for me, and that's also what keeps me going, like in life, in wrestling. Like when nobody's watching, like how are you acting and what are you doing to like better yourself and others around you?
You just hit on it. I was at a high school on I think when was that? Wednesday evening. They had a game on Thursday, so this was their pregame walkthrough stuff and everything the night before the game. And that's what we were talking about. What do you do when nobody's watching? Well, let me put it like this. What do you do when you think nobody's watching? Because now in this age, different from when myself and your parents grew up, you know, we didn't have all these cell phone cameras and all that stuff. So yeah, probably nobody really was watching when we was out somewhere. But now everybody's watching you. So you just think nobody's watching. So I'm glad you said that. And then I love what you said. Good character equals fruits of the spirit. Ailee, that's a beautiful statement right there. I love that. I do I have permission to use that? Fruits of the spirit again?
Of course, yeah, of course.
Okay, thank you. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Nick, how important is it, man, for these young people, our young people today, and not necessarily just your children, but just in general, for our young people, and for that matter, adults, to show good character?
Oh gosh, it's so important, man. You know, because people's perspectives have changed or something. I don't know. They look at the glass half full instead of half empty instead of half full. You know, and the gratitude's been lost. Gratitude and humbleness. You know, and I always tell the kids, and the Ailee probably not ahead right now, it's better to humble yourself than to have God humble you, because it's not going to be very good at all. Because guaranteed, if you don't humble yourself, it might not be today, might not be tomorrow, but our Father upstairs will humble you, and that's not the humbleness you're going to want. It's going to be rough. It's going to be hard. Mm-hmm. And so I teach my kids always be humble, always shake their coach's hands at practice, whatever, and show gratitude and humbleness and everything they give, because everything here is a gift. I mean, you know, gentlemen like yourself, Coach Brown, you know, you're out there, you're giving your time, and it's free. I told them that since they were little. This is free. They're doing this, and you're not their kid. You know, they're not getting paid. They're doing it because they really have a love for this and a joy for this, and giving you knowledge, which is really invaluable. It's hard to put a price on knowledge, right? You know, some people, you know, we go to universities and have a certain price on it, but real, true knowledge,
right?
You know what I mean? How do you put a price on that? You know, and they're giving it freely. Tell that person, thank you. I appreciate every single time you see them, every single time, all the time. And I make sure they look them in the eye, shake their hand, and really honestly say, thank you, you know? And it's just, to me, if the world was like that, if people really showed more gratitude of what they had and humbleness, you know, this would be a whole different world, my man. It would be a totally different world.
You're right about that. Yeah.
You know, it really would. You know, as I saw a sign one time, it said, it's hard to be the Easter bunny in a Halloween world. And we seem to be living in a Halloween world these days, man. And I'm trying to be Easter bunny in that little statement, right? You know, and it ain't easy. It ain't easy. Yeah. You know what I mean? And
no, it's not. Yeah.
We can come with cliches all day, but you know, it's try to, you know, renew your mind every day, like Paul says in the New Testament. You know, we got to renew our mind every day and say, hey, this is a new day. And that goes with life, anything. You know, yesterday was rough. It was a hard day. But we renew our mind, and then we get up and we try it again. We do it again. You know what I mean? Another day. And it's like with sports. Hey, you might have a rough football game. You play football, you're basketball, whatever sport you may be, but you always got another one. You know what I mean? You always got another one. So you can be upset about it. You know, spend some time on it, critique it. Don't obsess about it. Critique it, how to be better, and then come back next day. You know, as they say, go back to the lab, fix it a little bit, and come back and try it again. Right? You know, so
I love it.
Yeah.
No, I love it. I love it. Andrea, I'm gonna come back to something I want to hear from Andrea on this, the good character part. How important is it, Andrea?
It's very important. I mean, it's who you are. There's nothing worse than thinking somebody is one way and then meeting their true self and finding out that it was nothing that you thought it was, and then you're disappointed. And so we've told all of our kids, be yourself, even if it means that you're alone, you know, even if you're by yourself, be yourself, because when people want to become closer to you, or you have more intimate conversations, you know, and they feel that they're coming to somebody to share something with, or for guidance or help, they want to make sure the person they're coming to is the person that you set out as the example, you know, that you're displaying on a regular basis, and you're not going to hear their information and then just take it and become someone totally different. And it's just a big piece is your character. It's huge. Because when you pretend you're someone you're not, you're nobody at all, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I got to go back over this. This is amazing. Hey, everybody who's watching this video, whenever you're watching it, you just heard some jewels about the importance of showing and actually having good character. Watch this. Ailee, fruits of the spirit equals good character. Mr. Briggs, gratitude. Humble yourself, because you definitely don't want it to come from the man up above. Renew our mind every day. If we wake up the next day, we have the ability to actually do it better the next day. I love it. And then Mrs. Briggs just said, your character is who you are. And you don't want anybody to believe that you are somebody else. That's a bad day right there. Yeah. If you've been acting and then one day you show your true self, your true character, oh man, that's a bad day.
Yes,
that's a bad day. Andrea, yes, that was golden right there. That was golden, Andrea. That was golden. Wow. I love it.
That's just truth.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It is. Absolutely.
But what's that saying? Never meet your heroes, because you might be disappointed. You know what I mean? Because then you see the true character of your hero and say, wow, they don't have time to sign my autograph. They blah, 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 blah. So we were at a high-level tournament, the biggest wrestling tournament, the most prestigious wrestling tournament in the United States in July in Fargo, North Dakota. And they got a very accomplished wrestler, Jordan Burroughs. And he was there. And I understand he's got some personal stuff going on. I believe his father passed away recently. And he's on the phone, and you could see him. He was out in the foyer of this big, place, arena. He's on the phone. And you see his face was very serious, very into something. 2 or 3 young wrestlers came up. Hey, can I get? Yeah, hold on. And he smiled and took the time, even though he's got tragedy going in his life. I was so impressed. Wow. And he sat there and took pictures with him, signed the autograph, and knowing he's going through, and he had tragedy. His father just passed, and that showed his character. So you look him up. Wow. His name's Jordan Burroughs, really high-level, accomplished wrestler, world team member, all that stuff. And I said, this is the real true guy. You know what I mean? And when, when things get tough, and the rubber hits the road, it's hard to be out of character of what you're not. And he showed his true character in the worst of times. You know what I mean? And I was really impressed by that. I was really impressed by that.
Wow. What was it? Well, I don't know if you want to say
his name is Jordan Burroughs.
Jordan Burroughs. I'm gonna write that down. Jordan Gotcha. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Because that's real. Like in the entertainment business, and you're a professional athlete. You're known, even politicians. These known public. I'm gonna say it like this: public figures. And yeah, that is a tough situation when they're out and about. They might be trying to have dinner with their families, and people are constantly, trying to get their attention and get close to them. And yeah, I can only imagine how tough that can be. And then you have to still just play a certain character. Man, that's impressive. But that's impressive. Him going through that moment and taking the time to do that. Wow. Very impressive. Very impressive. Thank you for sharing that, Nick. Yeah, absolutely. So now, Ailee. Now, all this stuff I've heard about you doing, that you're actively still doing. How do you balance all that? Like what allows you to balance? Because you're trying to take a nap and you're like, man, I got to do this. I got to get ready to go. So how do you balance all this stuff, Ailee?
It took me a while to like find a schedule, but once I found that writing down like everything that you need to do and then setting specific times to get it done in like certain time frames, that really helps me a lot. And I feel like I'm able to accomplish everything. And sometimes I have like time to go hang out with like my friends or something, which is even better. So I think writing down something, like writing down like what you need to do and setting a schedule every day, that helps a lot.
Wow. So are you telling me you have a things to do list? You actually write down a things to do list?
Yeah, I actually have one right by me.
So now watch this, young people. When you see Coach Brown talking to you and things of that nature, and I talk about your goals, and I talk about this, Nick, you'll love this. I say, hey, did you know that just writing down your goals, you are 50% of the way there to accomplishing them? Because the average person doesn't even write down their goals or anything. So, Ailee, to tell me that you write down your things to do list, would you do this on a daily basis, weekly basis, or how often do you write your things to do list?
Sometimes it's every day. Like if I have like extra stuff added, like I have a piece of paper that I always stick out on the counter, and if I have to do something, I write it down. Or else, like, because I'm always constantly moving, and sometimes I forget things. And my mom always says, write stuff down so you don't forget it.
Right.
But I mean, probably like every Sunday, usually I write down my schedule for the week, like what workouts I'm going to do, like when I'm going to go to the gym, when I'm going to do my schoolwork, and when I'm going to go to practice, and then balance my youth group. And then if I have time to hang out with my friends, then I'll also balance that.
Hey, young student athletes, you're looking at a high school wrestling All-American talking about how she writes down her goals, writes down the things she has to do weekly to make sure that she uses her time wisely and effectively. She just said she schedules her time when she's going to hang out with her friends. That's how important writing down your goals and your things to do list is. You just heard it from a high school All-American right here. Ailee Briggs out of Lemon Bay High School, Englewood, Florida. That's outstanding, Ailee. That's outstanding. Thank you. That's outstanding. Nick, Andrea, there's a lot of crazy things going on in the world right now. A lot of crazy stuff we've never seen before. But I know I haven't seen in my lifetime. What things, are there any specific things that you're speaking with your children, specifically Ailee, because she's here on this platform right now? But is there anything that y'all are talking about with them to be aware of at this time in all of our lives?
Gosh, there's so many. To start.
I know. Right? Well, give me the Ailee. You might not remember this. Back in the day when we were in school, we had these things called Cliff Notes. They're abbreviated versions of work. You can buy them and stuff. And we didn't want to read the book and everything. You can Google it. We didn't want to read the book. We just go buy the Cliff Notes and everything. And sometimes it would get me in trouble. I ended up being an English major in college, and I'm like, oh man, these Cliff Notes are not gonna work. They just don't work.
But they didn't have the chat
Nick, give me
for us.
Yeah, they have. That's right. They have Chat GPT. That's right.
Yeah, we had to write our own papers. What the heck?
Yeah. So Nick, what? Give me the abbreviated version. Yeah, because there's a lot going on. So give me the Clip Note version. Yes,
Well,
the Chat GPT summary version.
Chat GPT. Well, I'm not that refined, but anyway, I'll try my best. So,
yes, sir.
No, it's just for her not to be transformed by the world. All this, like you said, all this madness you talk about. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Sex. You know what I mean? And these young people, they see it. They're introduced to it at a young age. They feel pressure that they got to do this thing early. You know what I mean? And I tell my kids that it's special. It's meant for marriage. It's meant between one man, one woman. And then, the problem is that you got a lot of people don't talk about. I found out later on in life that when the way God made it, when a male and female get together, they make a soul tie. It's a soul tie. That's what God's plan is. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden you got this 5, 6, whatever these people are doing or whatever, they got these soul ties, and they wonder why their life's a mess. Because they're tied in. They're actually tied. Their souls are weaving in together. So
absolutely.
Talk about that. Of course, everyone talks about drugs, and then drugs are not good for anybody. We talk about that. We talk about the politics and kind of like just stay out of it. You know what I mean? And just kind of cruise away from that polarity of it. It's so polarized now. Stay away from that. Let's talk about things we have in common instead of things we have, because we all have more things in common. As you and I talked, we had the conversation in the vehicle when we first met. Absolutely. And here we have so much in common, way more than, I have not yet defined a difference. But if we did, we concentrate on the commonalities. And if everyone concentrated on commonalities in society instead of the differences, you might have 10 characteristics that would be a good friend and relationship or, intimate relationship, whatever. And today's society tells you got 1 out of 10 I don't like, I'm canceling you. Instead of going, hey, look, I got 9 out of this. I got 8. Gosh, you had 7 good characteristics and commonalities you have. You got a great relationship, man. You just kind of steer clear of the other 3, right? You know what I mean? To keep it moving. But,
right, absolutely.
But, everyone sitting in their own corner and being polarized and not talking, and that's another thing too, is that conversation. When people stop talking, bad things happen. We got to keep talking. No matter what.
Absolutely.
And again, concentrate on commonalities. We all want family. We all want prosperity. We want our kids to be good, as we talk about our daughters and stuff like that. And we just need to concentrate on that. I could go on forever about that because that's really important. To me,
that's good. Hey, those were good Cliff Notes, Nick. That was good. Yeah. Those were very good.
Good Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
Those were very good.
I like to always tell
Andrea.
kids, it doesn't matter what the situation is. Like there's, like he's saying, there's so many things going on right now in the world, but it's not ever our job to judge. It's our job to lead, and it's to lead in whatever aspect that's going to be. Right? We lead in our character, as we talked about. We lead in our school. We lead with our friends. We lead people to God. God will give them the answers that they're seeking. Like it's just, and I try to tell the kids all the time, it's not your job to judge. It's your job to lead. You choose how you're going to lead, and people will get to a point where they're going to find their answers themselves. So that's a big part of it. It's easy for people to sit back and point fingers and say you're wrong about this way and you're wrong about that way, but really none of us can decide that. God decides that, and it's and us deciding their life and their behaviors and all the things that they're doing. That's just us jumping in a place that we don't belong. So I just always tell them, it's not your job to judge. It's always your job to lead. That's you can ask Ailee. I say it all the time. If she'll call me about something, this is going on, Ailee, it's not your job to judge. It's your job to lead. And it's just kind of always comes out. So
I like that, Andrea. I like that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It's not our job to judge. It's our job to lead.
Mm-hmm.
I love that's a great statement.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because Nick talked about soul ties, and then Nick, you said we have more things in common than not. So if you add that to what Andrea said about we are not here to judge, here to lead, and when we start having these conversations like we're doing tonight, which is awesome, then usually we're going to get to some beautiful things that we can build upon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I took from what y'all just said. That is awesome. So young people, adults, these coaches, teachers, administrators, listen. We have more in common than not.
Yes.
And if we sit down and take the time to have conversations with our young people, to have conversations with each other, usually, and we're keeping God first in all these conversations,
always, yeah.
Usually, we're going to have some good things, great things come out of that, which is going to help us all move forward in a better way. So listen, if you're watching this video, if you're watching this conversation featuring Ailee Briggs from Lemon Bay High School in Englewood, Florida, All-American wrestler, her future is bright. If you're watching this video, hey, make comments in the comment section, and let's keep this great conversation going on wherever you live in the world. All right? That's my challenge to you. That's Coach Brown's challenge to you. So now, Ailee, we're getting ready to wrap up this conversation. And again, it's been awesome. What are you looking? I mean, you're an amazing young lady. What are you looking to major in college when you go to the next level? What are you going to be focused on the education side and career side, business side?
Psychology and criminology. There's this one movie called Sound of Freedom. I don't know have you ever watched it? I don't know.
What's the name? What's the name of it?
Sound of Freedom.
I have not. No, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
It's about this guy who works for the FBI, and they track down child traffickers, and they like send them to jail, you know. But they always send them to jail before it's too late, when the kids are already gone to a different country. So he quits his job and uses his, like, he had a whole retirement set up for him and everything, quits his job, and he goes across those countries in search for these kids, and they ended up making it a job for the FBI. And it really moved me because one of the sayings that it said, like, in that movie is God's children are not for sale. And that really sits with me because it's not like these kids, they have such a bright like future, like God like made them for this world, like beautifully and wonderfully made. And for that like tragedy like to happen, it's so upsetting. And it's like, if I could make some kid's life better, then that's what I'm going to do. Like I want to help people.
Wow. Psychology and criminology. Yeah. I can see it. Ailee, I can see it. That's awesome. That's awesome. So thank you for sharing that. So now we're going to finish this up. But what we do, Andrea, Nick, is, we like to leave them. And y'all have blessed us. I mean, listen, I've taken a full page of notes here. Y'all have left some great information out here for our young people, for the coaches, anybody that may watch this. They absolutely could probably learn something from this conversation we've had tonight. But I want y'all to make some final statements before we sign off from this conversation. So we're going to do ladies first. We're going to start with mom first. Andrea, what would you like to leave with our young people that may be watching this, other parents that may watch this video featuring your daughter? What would you like to leave on their minds?
Well, when we're talking about athletes and we're talking about students, just don't ever sell yourself short. If you're not doing well right away, try harder. Because your future, you don't want to look back and say, I wish I had done this. Just go forth. Even if it's not successful every time, move forward, keep trying, dig in. Find the resources that you need if you don't have them available in your home, if you don't have parents who are able to support you or interested in supporting you in the sports that you're interested in. Seek people within the school, within the community who are interested in helping you achieve those goals. And just don't stop. Don't let go of it, because you will have regret when you look back when you get older, and you don't want to have that. You want to know that you tried your best and you gave it everything you had.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Nick, What would you like to leave on the minds of our young people?
It's kind of congruent.
Coaches, parents, the whole nine.
It's congruent with Andrea. You know, I use this analogy of these kids that, you know, they don't understand that they have so much going for them, and they sell themselves short. They don't really go to the full potential. And I use the analogy of a car. You're young, you're athletic, you're intelligent, whatever, all the stuff you have going on. You're like a Bugatti. You're like a Lamborghini. You're like a Ferrari, right? And so I say, but you're driving this nice exotic car like a Toyota Corolla, stopping at stop signs, like a grandmother going below the speed limit. But that's how you run your life. Your life is this car, and you're running it at 10% capacity. I say, if you're going to go test drive a high sports car like a Lamborghini or something, are you going to do the speed limit? And every single person said, no, I wouldn't. I'd try to go ahead and take it to Autobahn and do 150 miles an hour and see how I do on turns. Well, why don't you do that with your life? Why would you sell yourself short?
Yeah.
Because you are a exotic sports car, yet you're going to drive around like your grandmother's going to go grocery shopping at 30 miles an hour.
Right.
Why would you do that when you have so much more? People want to do just enough to get by. Don't you want to know how far you can go? Don't you want to drive yourself and do the sports turning and check the turns and see how far? If I put my foot all the way on that gas, how far can I go in life? But we never do. We'll have regret. And ain't nothing worse than regret when you didn't try your best. Sometimes we try our best and we lose. Then we can rest our hands and say, you know what? I tried my best, Lord. But what if that, hey, if I tried a little bit harder, I could have been a champion of this. If I tried a little harder like this, I could have got my degree. If I tried a little harder, I had to run my own business. If I tried a little harder, and once that door is closed, you can't open it again, but you sit there sleepless nights with regret. That is the worst things in life. Mm-hmm. So drive your car, young people, coaches, drive it. Let's see how fast these cars can go. Let's find out what's my limit. What's my maximum capacity? Because if I don't try, I'll never know. So that's why I got to leave it at that. I'm sorry. I'm really passionate about this, obviously.
I love it.
You know what I mean?
Hey, Nick, that was good, man. That was good. I got to finish this note right here. That's good, brother. I'm telling you that right now. That's good stuff. Ailee, high school All-American, is going to go to college and major in psychology and criminology. You handling your business, young lady, and we are so proud of you.
Thank you.
Now, there's a lot of young people. You welcome. You earned it. There's a lot of young people that would like to become you. I'm talking about right now, at your age right now, 17, 18, 19 years old. There's kids looking up to you right now. You say you work with them. You're teaching young people how to wrestle right now.
Yes.
So what would you like to leave on the minds of the young people that are watching you and aspiring to become the next Ailee Briggs?
I say always trust God's plan and never let someone decide your path in life. God has your path. Like my dad says, God gives you God-given like abilities. Like you have talents that God made specifically for you in your life and how your life's going to go. And you just have to trust God in it. And I mean, I'm grateful that God's given me this opportunity to speak on his behalf. And it's just like, take your abilities that God gives you and just run with them and just constantly like continue to share the Bible, continue to love others, and always be humble. That's a really big thing. Always be humble. That's about it though. That's if I were to give advice, I would say that.
I love it. I'm just finishing up my notes for you. So watch this. Watch this, Briggs family. So we've interviewed and had conversations with some great young people, some great parents. Mm-hmm. And there's a consistency in it. It's no secret on really how to be a good person. I mean, we have the book. Y'all have mentioned it several times throughout this conversation. There's a book that we can follow. It's the biggest book on love. It's the biggest book on passion. It's the biggest book on entrepreneurship, business. It's called the Bible, young people. Now, I'm not a pastor. I'm a coach. I get it in the streets. I get it in these classrooms. I get it in on these football fields and the whole nine. Today, you've heard it all throughout the conversation about being connected to God and keeping God first. So, as the Briggs family, as we all sign off on this Student Athlete Playbook video conversation, you heard Mrs. Briggs, Andrea Briggs, you heard her say, don't sell yourself short. Give it your all. Then you heard Mr. Briggs. Nick said, man, a lot of us are running on 10% capacity. Like, yo, go ahead. Let's take your life to the next level. Take it there. And then this is what I love, Nick. I wrote down for you. Nick is saying, hey, we got to max out our capacity. We got to go from 10%. We got to max out our capacity. Put your foot on the gas.
Mm-hmm. All the time.
And then our feature of the night, Miss Ailee Briggs. She said it all. Trust God's plan. Take your ability higher. And then, in the famous words of a hip-hop philosopher out of California, Compton to be exact, he had a great song called Be Humble. You know that song? You know who I'm talking about, Ailee? That great rapper?
I think so. I think I know which song
you
you're
think
talking
so? He had
Yeah.
a little battle with this other little rapper perform at the Super Bowl. Be Humble.
Yeah.
Kendrick Lamar.
Yes.
Ailee said, be humble. And that'll take you further than you can even imagine. I love it. I love it, Briggs family. I love it. So listen, everybody who's been watching this video conversation, I hope you are blessed by this conversation. And I hope you learn something and take it and share it. And share it and use it. And let this thing multiply. Because we have more good people in the world than bad. That's a fact. Yes. There's more good people in the world than there are bad people. That's a fact. You can take that to the bank. Mm-hmm. We just have to step up and let people know we're here. So I am Barry Brown, author of the #1 book for youth student athletes, the Student Athlete Playbook, Success in the Classroom, Sports, and Life. Locally, here in Metro Atlanta, you can stop by Madu Bookstore in Greenbrier Mall. Out in the South Lake area, you can visit Nubian Books out there in Morrow, Georgia. Shout out to the Morrow High Mustangs where I went to high school. And then online, you can go to Amazon and order your books directly for that. Just type in Student Athlete Playbook. It'll pop up. And shout out to Youth Education and Sports, the nonprofit organization that meets young people where they are in their lives, wherever they are. And we help them to develop their life plan so they can develop and grow into the outstanding adults they are destined to be. Thank you again for watching this Student Athlete Playbook video conversation featuring Ailee Briggs from Lemon Bay High School, Englewood, Florida. Until next time, we say one love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.